So we'll be studying about short noise, then we'll thermal noise and white noise, how to model those noise. That's what we'll be studying initially. Then after that, we'll see the noise considerations in amplitude modulation and in frequency modulation. So we'll move on to that topic straight away. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the first part, that is different types of noise. So maybe we'll be discussing what is meant by noise, right? How to model a short noise, right? What is short noise? How to model it, and similarly thermal noise and white noise. That's what we are going to discuss today, right? And for this first part, the basic prerequisite would be a very basic knowledge on this probability and random process, right? You might have already studied that in fourth semester, right? But we'll slightly brush up, and it's not like you don't have to uh, have such a deep knowledge on those aspects here to appreciate these concepts. But if you know that, you'll be able to understand the concepts clearly. So we'll start with the session. Right, the session is about, or it is module 3. It is noise is actually what part 1 of module 3, right? So in today's session, right, mainly we'll discuss what is meant by noise and how to model a short noise. Sorry, how to model a short noise, thermal noise, and white noise, right? And if possible, right, we'll also see some of the special cases of white noise. What will happen if a white noise is passed through an ideal low pass filter, right? What will happen if a white noise is passed through an RC filter? All those aspects also we'll try and see. And the last topic in this module would be noise equivalent bandwidth. Not in this module, this first part of this module, right? Noise equivalent bandwidth, right? So we'll try to see these topics in today's session. So if I may ask, right, what actually is noise, especially in communication? What is meant by noise? Can anyone unmute yourself and give me an answer? Right, you all are familiar with the term noise, right? What is noise actually? Maybe you can tell the literal meaning. When you say, right, if the class is going on, when a teacher is telling it's class is too noisy, means what does that mean? It's something actually what unwanted, right? So a noise, maybe we can define noise as, and just pull it up, right? So noise can be defined as actually what, it's uh, some unwanted signal, right? Wave or unwanted signal, unwanted signal, right? That tends to actually what disturb the transmission and processing of the signal in communication system, right? So it will disturb the transmission. Like if you are listening to radio, right, once if you are switching on or off the fan, at times actually what you can hear a flicker, right? That's actually what, because of noise, it actually what disturbs our experience, right? It either disturbs actually what the transmission or processing of the signal in a communication system, right? And one more problem is we don't have, right, much control over noise, right? We don't have much control over noise, right? Of course we can design a system which will have minimum noise interference, but on this noise generation as such, we don't have much control. It's actually what, so that is actually what noise, that's how noise is defined. And this noise, right, it can be either actually what external, right? So noise can be generated out of the system. So suppose you are using an FM transceiver system or an AM based communication system, right? The noise can be external or it can be internal, right? It can be produced outside of the system, right? So can you give me some example of external noise, right? Some example of external noise, right? So the external noise can be what, say man-made noise, right? Man-made noise, actually we have different, right, machineries, electrical equipments, vehicles, all those things, right? So those will produce some radiation in this RF range. So that is actually what man-made noise, or it can be galactic noise, right? So noise which is actually what coming from far away galaxies, right? So it can be galactic noise, and another example can be atmospheric noise, right? So all these are actually what external noise. It's not produced within the system, but we'll have actually what internal noise also, right? So internal noise in the sense we are using some electronic components, and right, we are relying on power from mains. If there is some fluctuation in the power or voltage or current in the electrical system, or whenever because of some random nature of the production of current, or because of the ambient temperature, every right electronic equipments, electronic device will actually what produce some noise. So those noises are actually what called internal noise, right? So a noise can be external or internal, right? And but what we do is we are interested in noise which are actually what spontaneous in nature, right? If there is some noise that is actually what deterministic, right? Somehow we can put a check on it. But if the noise is spontaneous, right? If it's a spontaneous fluctuation, right? So then we are interested in such noise. So these spontaneous fluctuations happens because of actually what variation of current or voltage associated with a electrical circuit, right? This spontaneous fluctuation happens because of variation in current or voltage associated with an electrical circuit, right? And these noises, it may actually what bring in sudden spikes in voltages, right? A sudden nulls in voltages. What may happen is, as we are using like electronic components, for instance, if you are using an amplifier, right? So you might have set it to some operating region, right? But whenever there is a spike, what will happen, that will drive the amplifier or the transistor to saturation region or cutoff region. So such noise puts a limitation. We have seen, right, for generation and detection of modulated signal, we are using electronic components, right? And there is a region of operation, right? So if the signal is deviating from the set operating region, right, of course it will create some issue, right? So that is what we are that's why we are interested in this spontaneous noise, right? And the most common type of actually what spontaneous noises are short noise and thermal noise, right? So the most common type of spontaneous noises are short noise and thermal noise. As the name indicates, short noise, it's because of actually what discrete nature of the system. For instance, if you are using a, I'll just give an example. Suppose you are using a photo resistor, right? Maybe you are using IR LED to detect actually what the presence of people and all that. So it's actually what it's basically a photo detector, right? What it does is whenever light falls on this, it will produce an electricity, right? So the electricity produced by this photo detector, it depends upon actually what light light falling on it. Whenever right a chunk of light falls on it, it will produce one electron, right? And unless like sufficient light is not falling on it, will not produce an electron, right? So whenever, and the current is constituted by what? The production and movement of electrons. So what happens is the current, as you think, it's not actually what produced continuously in a photodiode. Instead of that, it's like it will be produced in chunks. So whenever one electron is hit, right, a pulse of current will be produced, and then when next set of actually what light falls on it, another like pulse of current will be produced, and it's not actually what uniformly distributed or correctly deterministic. It's actually what random in nature, right? So that arises that because of that actually what the short noise comes, right? There is a random element in this, right? So because of that there will be some short noise. Sorry. And the second one, thermal noise, means at any given temperature T, right? So every electronic equipment, be it a resistor or a transistor or diode, right? It will produce some noise because of actually what the random vibration of actually what electrons, right? Random vibration of electrons constituted by actually what this thermal energy or temperature, it will produce fluctuation in the voltage or current, right? That will also cause some noise, right? So that is thermal noise. So we this is actually what basic idea of noise. So we have seen if you are asked what is noise, it's some unwanted signal which will disturb the transmission or signal processing of a communication in a communication system, right? And one disadvantage is we don't have any direct control over the noise, right? Because of that, this presence of noise puts some constraints on our system, working on a system, right? Noise can be external or internal, right? And we'll be interested in the spontaneous types of noise which is produced within the system, right? So that is short. Two important spontaneous noises are short noise and thermal noise, right? And apart from that, we'll study the most generalized form or the ideal sort of noise which we'll consider, that is white noise, right? So that is the third one. So short noise and thermal noise are two prominent spontaneous noises, right? So now initially we'll study about short noise, right? So as I already suggested, I mentioned, right? So it arises in, maybe I'll write here, arises in electronic devices, right? Such as actually what diode or transistor, right? Diode or transistor, because of discrete nature of current flow, right? So because of discrete nature of current flow, I've just given an example, right? Right. So short noise arises in electronic devices because of discrete nature of actually what current flow in these devices, right? Maybe you can take a photo detector as an example, right? So as an example, you can take a photo detector, right? So as I've told, right, photo detector, it's actually what a photodiode, right? What happens is whenever light of a particular energy hits on this, on the cathode of actually what this it's the photo detector, the cathode of photo detector will produce actually what, an electron. So what happens is whenever light hits on that, an electron from the valence band actually what gets excited to conduction band, or it becomes free electron, and whenever a sufficient potential difference is applied across the device, it will constitute a current, right? So that's how a photo detector works, right? So what we can assume is whenever a quantum of light falls on this photodetector, right, it will uh, produce an electron, right? And you can assume it will constitute some current pulse, right? It will constitute some current pulse, maybe, right? You can call that current pulse, maybe, yeah, we can call it actually what? H of t, right? So H of t is the current pulse you can assume h of t is the current pulse produced by one electron, right? So then for the next pulse of current to come, next quantum of light should hit this photodetector, right? And we can't predict, right, each quantum of uh, photon or light will arrive the photodetector at regular interval. All those things we can't tell, right? It's um, actually what it's a random process, and so the current actually what current flow is discrete. It's not continuous flow as we imagine, right? So then what happens is the pulse generated every time an electron is emitted by the cathode due to incident light from a source of constant intensity, right? Then the electrons are naturally what emitted at random times, right? So these electrons are emitted at random times. Maybe we can represent the time at which electrons are emitted as tau k. This k can be actually what it can range from say minus infinity to plus infinity, right? So you can just imagine a photo detector was there from time immemorial, or time t equal to minus infinity, and it's still there and it will be there, right? So what if you are interested in the total current, right? If you are interested in the total current, so what will be the total current whenever a quantum of light hits on that, an electron will be produced and it will produce a current pulse like this, right? So maybe if you are trying to plot that on a time base, right? If you are trying to plot that on a time base, right? Right. So initially a photon hits, right? A pulse is generated, right? And then at some other time, tau k, a photon is hit, right? A pulse is generated, and at some other time instance, a photon is hit, a pulse is generated, right? At some other time, the photon hits, pulse is generated, right? At some other time, it hits, pulse is generated, like that. So, what will be the total current? How can you represent this total current? This is actually what h of t's will be, this pulses h of t's will be generated at every time instance or at any general time instance tau k, right? So this, if this h of so I'll just pull it up slightly, right? A time instance is tau k. So if this h of t, right, it has certain width, right, and it is centered at 0, right, then how can I represent a pulse h of t which is centered at tau k, right? So this pulse I can represent as h of t minus tau k, right? So this is the pulse produced at time instance tau k, right? So that pulse I can represent as t minus tau k, right? So now the total current, right? So we can define the total current and flowing through this photodetector, right? It can be modeled as actually what if I'm representing it as capital X of t, right? The total current, if I'm representing it as capital X of t, there is a reason why it's a function of time, right? So this tau k, or the interval at which these photons are produced, it's not constant, right? So X of t, maybe it's actually what sum of all these pulses, right, at different time instances, right? Sum of all these pulses at different time instances from say t from minus infinity to plus infinity. So we can write it like this: k from minus infinity to plus infinity, h of t minus tau k, right? So this is how we can represent total current, right? This is how we can represent total current, right? Where this h of t minus tau k is actually what? H of t minus tau k, it is the current pulse generated at time t equal to tau k, right? So if you sum up all these things, it will give you the total current, right? So now if you are interested in, right, so it's, you can see, right, right, so this it's actually what it's a, but if you take average of this, right, right, if you take average of this over a large span of time, right, that average will be a constant. So at any given two time instances, if you are taking its average for a given period of time, that average will be almost a constant. So we can call it as this is actually what it's a stationary process, right? It's a stationary process, and we call it actually what? Short noise, right? It's a stationary process, right? So we can call it actually what that is actually what short noise. But if you see any instance, right, the spacing between the pulses need not be the same. But if you take average over a large amount of time at some separated instances, it can be a constant. So that is actually what the uh, uh, that discrete nature of current versus short noise, right? Now if you are interested in number of electrons, so what I told you initially, when a photon quantum of photon hits, an electron is generated, right? So then when next photon hits, second electron is generated. When next photon hits, third electron is generated, fourth electron is generated. So now if you are interested in number of electrons, right, so the number of electrons emitted in the interval 0 to t. So if I am representing n of t as the number of electrons emitted in interval 0 to t, right? So if n of t is the number of electrons emitted in interval 0 to t, right? It's again actually what this number of electrons emitted will be again a discrete stochastic process. So if I'm if I call this time instance 0, right, and if I'm calling this time instance as actually what? Tau 1, this is tau 2, tau 3, tau 4. These are actually what? Instances at which electron is produced. So the total number of actually what? Electrons produced. So if I'm representing total number of electrons produced along y-axis and time along x-axis, right? This is time equal to 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is number of electrons: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6, 7. This is number of electrons, and this is, so at time t0, one electron is there, right? Time t0, right? Then till time t equal to tau 1, there is only one electron. But at time t equal to tau 2, one more electron is received, right? But next till time this is tau 1, right? Next till time equal to tau 2, there are only two electrons emitted, right? But at time t equal to tau 2, one more electron is emitted, right? Then next at time t equal to tau 3, one more electron is emitted. Tau 4, one more electron is emitted, right? Then next at time t equal to tau 5, next electron is emitted. So, right, it's actually what it's you can this number of electrons produced by this photodetector, right? It becomes actually what? It becomes a Poisson counting process, right? You might have studied about Poisson distribution, right? So it becomes a Poisson counting process, right? So this number of electrons, Nt, is actually what? The electron number of electrons produced in the time interval 0 to t, right? The total number of electrons produced in the time interval 0 to t. This cumulative number of electrons produced in the time interval 0 to t, right? So you can model it as actually what? A Poisson counting process. So you know what is actually what? Poisson distribution, or else we slightly discuss what right and coming part. So now my question is, what will be the number of electrons produced? Maybe I'll write here, right? Number of electrons produced between time interval t and t plus t naught. So t naught is some actually what? A constant value. So what will be the number of electrons produced between t and t plus t naught? So maybe I can represent it as v. It is equal to what? N of t plus t naught. What is n of t? N of t is number of electrons produced between time interval 0 to t, right? So what will be n of t plus t naught? So it will be number of electrons produced between time interval 0 and t plus t naught, right? If you subtract n of t from this, you will get the number of electrons produced between t and t plus t naught, right? So we are representing it as V, right? V is a number of electrons emitted in the time interval t and t plus t naught, right? So that is V, right? Now we are interested in what is the mean value of this V. Mean value of this V, right? So we can write it as actually what expectation of V, right? Expectation of V, right? It can be modeled as I told. It becomes actually what a Poisson counting process, right? Those is so the number of electrons received in the duration t naught second, starting from t to t plus t naught, right? Its mean value can be modeled as lambda t naught. This lambda, right, you might be familiar with this, right? So it's actually what process rate or arrival rate in a Poisson counting process, right? So E of V, expectation of mean value of number of electrons, right? It can be modeled as lambda t naught, right? So where this lambda, what is this lambda? You are familiar with that. Now it's, you might have studied it as rate of arrival, or now in our case we'll call it actually what the rate of process, right? We'll call it rate of lambda can be assumed as the rate of process, right? So it's obvious, lambda is the rate at which in unit time how many electrons are produced. That is actually what lambda. In unit time how many electrons are produced, that is lambda. So in t naught time, lambda times t naught electrons will be produced. It's equivalent to what? In 1 second, right, 3 people will be arriving. So in 3 seconds, how many people will be coming? 3 into 3. That's it, right? So that is actually what the rate of the process. Lambda is rate of the process, and t naught is actually what our time interval, right? So now, right, so this is our mean value. So we got mean value. So now we told this is a this short noise actually what process? It is constituted because of actually what Poisson distributed generation of electrons, right? I'll repeat. The short noise is constituted because of actually what Poisson distributed generation of electrons. So now we can write the right, or the Poisson distribution, right? So we can write the say probability, right? The probability that k electrons are emitted. K electrons are emitted in time interval in time interval t to t plus t naught, right? The probability that k electrons are emitted in time interval t to t plus t naught, right, given the mean value is lambda t naught. So in Poisson distribution, right, so probability that v is equal to k, right? V is nothing but what? Number of electrons emitted in the time interval t to t naught, right? Probability that v equal to k, right? It takes a Poisson distribution, right? So we can write it as it's actually what? Lambda t naught, that is our mean value, to the power k divided by k factorial times e power minus lambda k, right? E power minus lambda k. So where k will be equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you substitute the value of k here, right, what is the probability that 0 electrons are emitted, right? If the arrival rate is say lambda, right, so within the time interval t naught, what is the probability that k electrons are emitted? That is given by this Poisson distribution, right? So that is given by this Poisson distribution. right? So what we have seen so far is we have taken, even though we have taken photodiode as an example, right? So it is applicable to what? Any other actually what current, right? Any other current, it is applicable, right? So now we are not going to what we as per our syllabus, we don't have to analyze these things in detail, but right. So we are interested in our short noise processes is x of t, right? We should know what is mean of this x of t, right? Mean of x of t, mean value, right? Mean value of x of t, right? So we are interested in that, right? I'll straight away give the result, right? It is equal to lambda, it's our arrival rate, integral minus infinity to infinity. It will be, it will obviously be h of t dt, right? Mean, how you will find integral uh, x into f of x dx, right? So similarly, so it's equal to what? Mu of x is equal to lambda, it's our arrival rate, times h of tau d tau, right? That is the mean value of short noise or current, right? So where lambda, as we have already mentioned, it is a process rate or rate of the process, and h of t, it is a waveform of current pulse. H of t is our current pulse, the waveform of current pulse, and lambda is the arrival rate. It says how many current pulses are arriving in a in unit time, right? Lambda tells us how many current pulses are arriving in unit time, and h of t is our current pulse, right? So now we are also interested in what is the auto covariance, right? Or covariance. Auto covariance is actually what, how a particular signal is like varying or related, or how it is related to what a time shifted version of itself, right? So in probability theory, right, auto covariance, auto means with itself, right? You might have studied about auto correlation, auto covariance, and all that. So auto covariance, right, of x of t, auto covariance of x of t, it can be represented as c x of tau. This tau was actually what, the time interval or time shift. We are the time shift we are considering between the signal within itself, right? So that will be equal to again lambda times integral minus infinity to infinity h of say h of t, right? So we have to see similarity or covariance between a signal with time shifted version of itself. So h of t and h of t plus tau d tau, right? So this is the auto covariance of short noise. So it gives us actually what is the similarity between a short noise process x of t with a time shifted version of itself, right? That is the auto covariance, right? And this auto covariance result, right, it's actually called, right, this equation, it's called Campbell's theorem, right? It's called Campbell's theorem, right? So now yeah, so that's all about actually what short noise, right? That's all about short noise. And maybe we can consider a special case. For a special case, if this h of t is equal to, okay, maybe I'll write it below, right? A special case where if this h of t is a rectangular pulse of amplitude a, if this h of t is a rectangular pulse of amplitude a and duration t seconds, right? If h of t is a rectangular pulse of amplitude a and duration t seconds, and then the mean of, right, so then what will happen is mean of the short noise process, right? Mean of short noise process will become, like, maybe you can just evaluate and see that it will become lambda a t, right? So what is the expression? What is the expression for mean? It is lambda times minus infinity to infinity h of t, right? This is h of t is actually what it is. Say h of t can be defined from minus t by 2 to minus t by 2 to plus t by 2, right? Amplitude is a. So this integral will be actually what, a from minus t by 2 to plus t by 2, or a from 0 to t. Then that integral will reduce to, right, lambda at. So for the special case, for the special case where h of t is a rectangular pulse of amplitude a and width equal to capital T, the mean will be this, and the autocovariance, right? Autocovariance as per this equation, you can just try it out. So the h of t will be actually what, uh, h of t itself, and h of t plus tau, right? If tau is actually what, uh, t and t plus tau are actually what, within overlapping ranges of these pulses, right? If both are overlapping, right, then the cx of tau, cx of tau, it can be written as, right, lambda a square t minus mod of tau for, this is okay, I'll just, for mod of tau less than capital T, and it will be 0 if mod of tau was greater than capital T. Why? What does it mean is, right, if you're considering two pulses which are not overlapping, right, so if you multiply them and integrate, you will get a 0, right? But if those pulses are overlapping, what will happen? Wherever there is an overlapping, at that time you will get some value. So what happens is, as if it's completely overlapping, right, if tau is equal to 0, right, you will get maximum value, right? As tau decreases, so if you are plotting this with tau, so what you will get is, so initially no overlapping, it is, right, so initially if the pulse is, one pulse is here, tau is negative, two pulses are not overlapping, so as it moves, right, there will be overlapping, the overlapping will increase, so this autocovariance will increase and it will reach a maximum, then it will decrease and it will go to 0. So this is tau and cx of tau. This is how this autocovariance will look like. So we don't have to dig that much into deeper, right? Again, right. So, but I'm just, so those who can relate can just try and relate, right? Others, those who think, right, don't want to do that, you are free to do so, right? Not a problem. But anyhow, right, the detailed analysis of this is beyond the scope of our like syllabus, so we won't do that, right? So that's about short noise, right? That's about short noise. So then we will see what is the term. If anyone has any doubt in this part, in short noise part, anyone has any doubt? So Suvira has typed disturbance. You mean to say my class is disturbing, or when I asked you what is the definition of noise, you typed that? I was in that whiteboard just now. I came back and checked the chat window. I'm seeing disturbance. Suvira, did you mean to say there is disturbance in my voice? Are you there? Okay, fine. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll move on to Savan. Yeah, he was disturbing me. Like, but I wish you people disturbed me. Otherwise, it's like quite monotonous. I can do whatever I want. Right? You're not going to what, trouble me. You're not asking any doubts. Right? Maybe, right? Good. Let's hope this offline classes start soon so that we can instead of speaking to this monitor, right, we can speak to real bunch of students. Yeah, I know, I understood. I simply asked Subira. Right, I can see it was typed in at 9:35, at which point of time I asked you people what is noise. Right, I was simply right trying to make a jog. It was a bad attempt at jog. Sorry. Yeah. So that's about this short noise. Now we'll move on to thermal noise. Right. Now we'll move on to thermal noise. Right. So this thermal noise, as the name suggests, right, it's electrical noise arising from random motion of electrons in a conductor. Right. So it's arising from due to random motion of electrons in a conductor. Right. Right. So that is actually the reason for thermal. And this random motion, the magnitude of vibration, it in turn actually what depends upon the ambient temperature. As temperature increases, right, the thermal energy of electrons will increase, the vibration will be more, and right. So that is actually what thermal noise. So the thermal noise, it arises due to random motion of electrons in a conductor, right? Then, so because of the thermal noise, whichever be, so if I any electronic component, right, which is made of uh, a conductor, right, which has some free electrons, right, will have, say, thermal noise, right? So because if you consider a resistor, right, if you consider a resistor, right, so this resistor when connected to a circuit, right, can be considered using its equivalent, actually what, say, Thevenin equivalent, right? So where this R is a resistor, right? So because of this thermal noise, you can see it will produce some power, right? It will produce some power, right? So this is actually what thermal noise power. So or the equivalent voltage will be what, say, VT, right? The equivalent voltage will be VT, right? It's voltage due to thermal noise, and it will have some power, right? So it will be, this is how we can model a resistor, right, which constitutes thermal noise, which contributes actually what thermal noise to a circuit, right? So maybe we can draw its equivalent Norton circuit as well, right? So if the Norton current, if it is equal to ITN, right? ITN, okay, maybe I should, right? I thermal Norton, right? Then in Norton equivalent, I can represent this as actually what, a current source in parallel with a resistor. So this resistor R, right, we can be modeled because of as because of thermal noise, can be modeled like this. Now we are interested in what is this power, right? So when I say power, right, we can write it as actually what, expectation of VTN square, right? So this let me VTN, right? As it is noise, we are writing noise, right? So this will be expectation of VTN square. What does that mean? It's actually what, expectation of TN square. It's actually its variance, right? Or mean square, we can tell. Mean square is actually what we have to square and take mean of that, right? So voltage square will be, what is V square by R is actually what, the power delivered to R ohm resistor. So if you assume R equal to 1, right, the power delivered to 1 ohm resistor will be V square. So and if you are taking mean of that, that will be actually what, the average power, right? E of Vt, and that will be average power, right? So this will be, if in thermal noise, right, thermal noise, the mean square thermal voltage, or the average power delivered to 1 ohm resistor, can be written as VTN square, and this will be equal to, right, this is an, right, empirical formula, this is equal to 4 times K T R and times delta F. Suppose you have a system, right? You have a system, it will allow a frequency range of delta F. So you can model it as a bandpass. Right? Suppose you can model that system as a bandpass filter, which will allow frequency from say F to F plus delta F. Right? If this is the range of frequencies that system allows, so the mean square voltage, right, over a bandwidth of delta F. So over a bandwidth of delta F, right, due to thermal noise produced in a conductor having resistance equal to R at given temperature T will be equal to this. So this T is temperature, R is, don't read it as K, it is equal to R, okay, that is resistor. What will be this K? Can anyone tell me what is this K? What can be this K? And its unit will be volts square, right? Unit will be volt square, and it will be numerically equal to power delivered to a 1 ohm resistor. So what will be this K? Can you please type it in? You might have, right, chat window. So okay, I'll tell that K is nothing but what? Boltzmann's constant. Right now, whoever is giving the correct value of Boltzmann's constant first in chat window will get a prize. So I'll write this T is absolute temperature, right? R is resistance, and delta F is actually what? Bandwidth of the system, or the range of frequencies the system allows, right? Or the amount of frequency range the system allows, and K is Boltzmann constant, right? So what is the value of Boltzmann constant? Okay, I'll write it is 1.38 into 10 power something. What is that something? I want you people to what? Write that. And the units will be joules per Kelvin, joules per degree Kelvin. The unit will be joules per degree Kelvin. Right. So what is this? 1.38 into 10 power, what is that? Please type it in chat window. 10 power minus 23, 1.3, okay. Yeah, excellent. Right. So it is 1.3 10 power minus 23, 10 power minus 23, and the unit is joules per degree Kelvin. Right. Joules per degree Kelvin. Right, and R is the resistance in ohms, so all those things. So that is E V T n square. So now that is actually, if you are representing it as it as a Thevenin equivalent, that will be the average power or mean square voltage. If you are representing it as Norton equivalent, what will be the mean square current? Right? What will be mean square current? What will be E of ITN square? What will be mean square current? How voltage and current are related? By Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, I is equal to V by R. So it's I square, so we should divide it with R square, right? So that will be equal to 4 KT R delta F divided by R square. So 1 R and 1 R will get cancelled. So it will be 4 KT delta F by R, right? 4 KT delta F by R, and 1 by R we can write it as actually what? Reciprocal of resistance is conductance, so it will be 4 KT delta F G, or 4 KT G delta F. So in Norton equivalent, normally instead of actually what this resistor, we can write actually what? G, the conductance, right? All these things are actually what? Basic mathematical modeling of these noise processes, right? So these parts and all are actually what? Quite straightforward. Nothing is there to think. You have to just, right, remember these things, right? So this is mean square voltage, and this is mean square current, right? Mean square current of thermal or white noise right? So then maybe okay, I'll just in next class I'll keep a small quiz on all these things, right? So there are certain special cases or examples which are there in your textbook, but I'm not discussing, but I'll include those things in your quiz. So when I conduct the quiz in next session, I'll include those things. So that's about actually what thermal noise. So this thermal noise is produced because of random motion of electron in any given conductor. This random motion happens because of actually what the ambient temperature, right? So the mean square value of voltage, it is equal to 4 kT R times delta F. So this mean, when I say mean square value of voltage, it is actually what proportional to the power delivered to a one ohm resistor, and the mean square value of current will be 4 kT delta F times G, where K is Boltzmann constant, T is temperature, delta F is the bandwidth of the system, and G is conductance and R is resistance, right? And what will be the unit of mean square current? What will be the unit of mean square current? It will be ampere square, right? There is no doubt in that. It will be ampere square. And what happens is, right, so as we are modeling it as actually it as a Thevenin equivalent or Norton equivalent, right? You know, when such a circuit will deliver maximum power to the load, so whatever is connected here you can consider as load of this, right, source for with an internal resistance in series, right? There maximum power will be delivered when load resistance, if it is purely resistive, when load resistance is equal to the internal resistance, or if load impedance is actually what complex conjugate of the internal impedance, right? In both the cases is what maximum power will be delivered. So I have a question: what will be the maximum power delivered, right, in this case, right? What will be the maximum power delivered in this case? Maximum power delivered again per say unit resistance, right? Per unit resistance in this case. That is an open question. Maybe I will ask that in the quiz, which will be conducted in quizzes at the beginning of the next class. So that's about thermal noise. Then what we have is white noise, right? So this white noise is what you will actually what encounter mostly in your higher semesters, right? Whenever you are modeling a communication system, you will model the noise as additive white Gaussian noise, right? So as the name suggests, what do you mean by white, right? White, so a white light in an electromagnetic spectrum, right? It constitutes of say equal amount of all the colors, right? All the seven colors which are, right, combined in equal amount gives you white, right? So similarly, when I say white noise, so this noise will have frequency component, all the frequency components, right? So maybe the power spectral density of this noise will be a constant, right? Power spectral density of this noise. When I say power spectral density, it's power per actually what unit bandwidth or power level at each frequency component, right? It will be a constant, right? So maybe you can write it as SW of a power spectral density. If you are modeling the white noise as W of T, right? If you are modeling the sample function of a white noise as W of T, then the power spectral density, right? So it's actually what it's a generalized or ideal noise model, which we assume whichever be the frequency you are considering for your communication, right, over the entire bandwidth of that which is centered at that particular frequency, right, you will have this white noise, right? So it's actually what it's a idealized form of noise, right? It's an idealized form of noise, and the power spectral density is independent of operating frequency. Whichever be the frequency, at all those frequencies, you will have this white noise, right? And white that is the this what to say, this prefix white, it says it says that it has all frequency contents. So first thing which you have to keep in mind is the power spectral density, double-sided power spectral density, right? I'll write power spectral density of white noise will be equal to n naught by 2, right? So I'll write it equal to what? N naught by 2. So maybe you'll be wondering this, what is this? N naught, it's actually what? It's the noise, it is noise power per unit bandwidth, or its noise power per unit frequency, right? So where n naught, right, it is power per unit frequency, right? N naught is power per unit frequency, and it is this n naught, right? You can model it as k times te, right? N naught can be mathematically modeled as k times te, where k again is Boltzmann's constant, and te is actually what? The equivalent noise temperature. We'll see what is equivalent noise temperature, right? So this te is equivalent noise temperature, and k is Boltzmann constant, right? And its unit is watts per hertz, right? Its unit is watts per hertz, right? So the equivalent noise temperature of a system, right? It is defined as the temperature at which, please listen, right? So it is a temperature at which a noisy resistor has to be maintained such that by connecting the resistor to the input of a noiseless version of the system, it produces the same available noise power at the output of the system as that produced by the sources of noise in the actual system, right? So that is actually what noise equivalent temperature. I'll repeat: the equivalent noise temperature of a system is defined as a temperature at which a noisy resistor has to be maintained such that by connecting the resistor to the input of a noiseless version of the system, it produces the same available noise power at the output of the system as that produced by the sources of noise in the actual system, right? So maybe I'm not writing it down, right? So it's I'll just you can just actually read it. So what happens is, if you have a resistor, right, which is connected to a noiseless version of the system, so you should at what temperature you should maintain that resistance so that it will produce the same temperature as this white noise, right? So that is actually the noise equivalent temperature. That particular temperature, right, is called actually what? Noise equivalent temperature, right? Then one more important, so we have seen what is the power spectral density, right? So then we can also write what is the autocorrelation function. Autocorrelation function, Rw of tau, right? It is equal to what? N naught by 2 del of tau. This del of tau is actually what? It's a Kronecker delta function. So we know what is delta function. This del of tau will be defined only when tau equal to what? 0, and minus infinity to infinity, del of tau d tau will be equal to 0. So this is actually what a Kronecker delta function. So the autocorrelation function, right, it depends, right, maybe it depends only on the time difference, right? So del of tau, right, and so it is defined only, right, it depends only on the time difference. So if you take autocorrelation function of this, you will get a single impulse at time t equal to tau, and the magnitude of that impulse will be equal to n naught by 2, right? So I'm not, right, confusing you. So this is actually what the autocorrelation function of, right, the white noise. So now if I may ask, have you studied something called Einstein-Wiener-Kingen theorem, right? You can just type in chat window, right? Have you studied something called Einstein-Wiener-Kingen theorem? No. Or if I say power spectral density is Fourier transform of autocorrelation function, that have you studied anywhere? Have you heard anywhere? Okay, now anyhow, it's right? So Shreyas is typing yes, right? So Einstein-Wiener-Kingen theorem says perspective density is actually what Fourier transform of autocorrelation function. So from that, actually, what definition we are getting this? So it's not actually what under the scope of our syllabus, but when I you told that, right? I just happened to mention it here, right? So maybe you can just see what is that Einstein-Wiener-Kingen theorem, right? Okay, so if you are plotting this, so this is how the possible density RW of tau will look like. So this R autocorrelation function, again, it's like autocovariance. It gives you, right, how the signal is related to a delayed version of it. So this tau is nothing but what delay. So now we are plotting autocorrelation function with tau along the x-axis, right? So when tau equal to 0, right? So it will be scaled with n naught by 2, and it is a right defined only at tau equal to 0. If tau is some other value, it will be shifted there. So these are two important aspects. So what happens is this, I'll take 2 more minutes, right? So whichever, right, frequency range you are considering, suppose you are considering a frequency range here, right? Your carrier frequency is this, and your bandwidth BT is this, right? BT is this much, right? So what will be the total noise power if the noise is modeled as thermal noise? It will be equal to n naught by 2, this area, it will be equal to this area. So it will be equal to what? N naught by 2 into BT. This much will be the noise power. So why we are interested in power spectral density is, right, if you know power spectral density, right, so whichever be our operating frequency, and if you know the bandwidth, right, so within this bandwidth, right, the noise power which will be available at the output will be what? N naught by 2 times BT, right? So with this idea, maybe in next class we'll try to solve what will happen if a white noise is passed through ideal low pass filter, if a white noise is passed through an RC filter, right? And also we'll see the concept of noise equivalent bandwidth, right? So with that, we'll end first part of our third module. Then we'll move on to the other part. So unlike first and second module, if you're comfortable with first and second module, we can finish off these modules very fast, right? So I think that's it, right? So we have seen what is noise, we have seen what is short noise, we have modeled the short noise as x of t, and we have seen the number of electrons produced can be modeled as a Poisson counting process, and we found with that idea we right. Srisha has already typed. Okay, fine. Yeah. Thank you. Right. Okay. So how we have modeled short noise, and we have seen thermal noise, right? How we can model thermal noise as actually what Thevenin or Norton equivalent resistors, right? Then we have seen white noise. We have seen what is its power spectral density, right? What is N naught and what is autocorrelation function? That's what we have seen. So maybe we'll try to solve some problems, right? Examples in this part next class. So next class, initially itself we'll have a quiz. All of you please prepare and come. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. Right? What do you think? This part is easy compared to previous part or still difficult?